Right now, I'm just doing a lot of podcasting and, live streaming is what I want to get into. I just got accepted into the live stream creator fund on Facebook. So I can now start making money doing live streams on Facebook, which is pretty cool.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, tell me how that
Yeah.
works. Is that with the stars or is that like a different thing?
No, it's in-stream ads. So it's similar to how YouTube pays out, except Facebook pays out way more. Welcome to Unplugged, the tech podcast for digital entrepreneurs. I am one of your hosts, Brooke, the founder of the Sober Biz Collective.
Hey, podcasters. My name's Nate Kelly, best-selling author and founder of Podcast Revolution Studios. If you're looking for tech, tools, and tips on how to utilize podcasting for your business, you're in the right spot. Let's get unplugged. Moxie, I haven't even heard of it, but you've piqued my interest.
It's an AI robot that looks like a character from WALL-E.
Oh, no.
And it looks like a little kid, and it like dances with you and talks to you and like learns and stuff. And everyone in the comments of these things, I've actually like blocked the person that was putting videos up because it freaks me out so much.
Wait, is this the one that they were saying like perhaps had developed like feelings or empathy toward? I saw this article on like Wired magazine. Yeah, where they were like nervous because one of their machines or whatever they realized had started to develop like human like emotion in some way. And I'm like, okay, X out of here before I get too freaked out.
I don't know what we're doing. Like, we've seen the movies. We
Yes.
know Terminator and iRobot, and we know how this ends.
We're creating our own demise. Like, we have the benefits currently. We have the technological advancements and the benefits that come along with it. Why are we continuing to push and push and push?
I've heard a couple theories that the more advanced technological societies have actually been the demise of like the human race on more than one occasion on this planet. Like the lost city of Atlantis and all these things that people talk about were actually these really high-tech cities that crumbled because technology became too advanced. And I feel like that's where we're heading. Hopefully not in my lifetime or my children's lifetime or their children's lifetime. But
hopefully not. And as greedy as it may sound, hopefully we just get the continued benefits and not the downfall.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little scary. And I also don't know what to believe. Like, I'm looking at this little AI robot called Moxie, and I'm just like watching a couple of TikToks, but maybe this is all fake. Like, this literally could have just been a 3D animation thing that they're doing to this face of this robot, and it's not actually as terrifying.
Exactly. And like, what level of information are they actually sharing with us? Like, Moxie could be Moxie 5.0 by now that we don't even know about.
I can't even watch Black Mirror. A lot of people in the comments of the robot were saying like, this is a Black Mirror episode. And I was like, I don't think my anxiety and nervous system could handle the amount of paranoia that would create.
Especially as people who are like in that environment and within the communities and the industry, it's like, oh boy, yeah, I'll just stay in my own lane for now.
Yeah, I believe we need to start creating content, movies, scenarios that we're putting out into the world, art around like thriving societies and things where technology is a good thing and helpful and helps us like replenish the earth and grow food in a more sustainable way and like, that kind of stuff. Because I feel like we just keep manifesting all of these movies we've created.
Destruction, demise. Yeah, it's so true. Technology. Well, I can tell by your camera that perhaps we have something new to discuss, and by the photo that you sent me. And we started things off with tech. So I'm so excited to hear about what you have to talk about.
Okay, so it's tax return season, which is dangerous.
Yes, it is.
I had a little bit of disposable income. So I have been researching cameras for a while now. I currently have the Canon RP, which was great. It's like an entry level full frame camera. It's a very, very good price for a full frame camera, but in terms of utilizing it as a webcam or as a 4K camera, it wasn't phenomenal. It was really hard to get a clean screen when you're wanting to do like live streaming or something with it. And my husband is a video game streamer, allegedly.
So he says.
He bought all the stuff for it. It's living in my house, but I haven't seen him do it in a while. So, um, so that's something that's really important. We had to buy a dummy battery for that in order for him to use it as stream. He figured out the settings he needed, and it's working okay for him now. But I started falling in love with this Sony line of cameras that they've come out for like vlogging.
Yes.
And, you know, Sony, I I've wanted to switch over to Sony for the longest time, but I was so used to Canon because in my wedding videography days, that's what I used. And learning new technology is like learning a new language, and it takes a little bit of time to get into, but it actually has been a really smooth transition. But Sony came out with the ZV line of cameras, which stands for Gen Z vlogging.
Oh, really?
I'm not a Gen Z, but I am a vlogger allegedly. I want to be. I want to do
Yeah.
some more,
It's so hard to commit to it. I want to too. And
it
I
is.
always, I'm progressing with the project that we talked about, but it's time consuming, and it's hard to try to develop a story like throughout your day and create interest behind it. But
Yeah.
yes, I feel your pain there.
I will say the one thing that I enjoy about the idea of vlogging is it gives me an excuse to plan like cool things to do in a day.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to just like wake up in the morning with like three kids running my own business and be like, oh, you know what? I really want to, you know, explore the neighborhood and go check out this coffee shop or whatever it is, right? There's things I've been putting off, but if I can make it part of my job as like, oh, I'm gonna go get some content over here, there's
Good
more
point.
of a dopamine reward for it as well. But anyway, so I heavily researched kind of these cameras. I mean, the one I want is about $4,000 Canadian, so I didn't go that far.
Wow.
I
Which one
paid off
is
some
that?
credit cards instead.
Good for you. Good for
Well, there's
you.
a couple. So the Sony A7 IV is a really good
Yes.
one. I'll talk about that
That's
in
what
a
I
second
hear.
why.
I think like anytime I see a podcaster or like a big time YouTuber talk about their equipment, that's like the number one camera always, right?
I'd have to research this a little more, but I don't know that the A7 IV has the capability to do the webcam system that I've got set up right now, which I'll talk
Gotcha.
about in a little bit. But
Cool.
A7 IV is very versatile as a photography camera and as a video camera. And so if I want to do like documentary style stuff, which is what I went to school for, or I wanted to get back into like videography for weddings or real estate videography, photography, like I would really like to invest in that camera someday. I'm not there yet. Right now I'm just doing a lot of podcasting and, live streaming is what I want to get into. I just got accepted into the live stream creator fund on Facebook, so I can now start making money doing live streams on Facebook, which is pretty cool.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, tell me how that
Yeah.
works. Is that with the stars or is that like a different thing?
No, it's in-stream ads, so it's similar to how YouTube pays out, except Facebook pays out way more. There's no real barrier to entry. You have to be invited into the program.
Okay.
So they don't just allow you to monetize live streams or reels. You have to actually be invited
Got
for that.
it.
But I got the invitation. It's pretty wild. I just got my T4, my tax slip from Amazon, and it said for my influencer account on Amazon,
Yeah,
I made
yeah.
$7 for the entire year.
More than
I think I sold 3
me.
things, you know? But I made $170 US, which is 30% more than that Canadian, and from Facebook for a month of creating reels on Facebook.
Hell
So,
yeah.
and that's stuff I was doing anyway, right? I'm getting way off topic. I'm on
I
like a
know.
full
I keep
tangent right
interrupting
now.
you. We haven't seen each other, like FYI, we haven't seen each other in about 2 weeks. So this is like
Yes. Yeah. So, through all my research, the Sony ZV-E10 was what I ended up going for. There's one model higher, I think it's the E1, that offered some more features that I'd really like to get in the future. But again, that was like a $3,000 camera. This one was $1,000 Canadian. So it would be about 30% less American.
Yeah. 700
And
maybe?
yeah, and it came with a lens. This one, you can change the lenses. So I also actually picked up a Sigma 16 millimeter lens. I heard a lot of YouTubers and vloggers raving about that lens. So I got that one as well. It won't be here for a few weeks, but it'll be a little bit wider than what I'm currently using.
Cool.
And yeah, glass makes a huge difference. And being able to like upgrade your glass on your camera is pretty cool.
Is that what
And
makes the difference in like the focus and like the you've got like a little blur on your background, which is super like cinematic.
yeah, so for that, you'll see numbers when you're purchasing lenses. It'll be like 1.5 or 3.5 or 4.5 to like 7, right? So the lower that number is, and on your display screen, it'll say like f 1.8 or
Yeah, yeah.
3.5. So that number, the lower it is, the blurrier your background's going to be. Your focal point will become smaller,
Got
and
it.
then the background will be blurrier. It also lets in more light, so it's better for low light situations. If you're in a darker office, like being able to turn down that number will let more light in, um, which is really handy. So usually the lower that number goes, the more expensive the lens is going to be. Canon has a couple of cheaper options for that are like two, 300, 400, $500 lenses that can get to 1.8, and they're great. The glass isn't as good as like the $3,000 lenses, but
Of course.
but they're pretty good. And Sigma and Tamron, I think it is, they make some really great lens options as well. So, anyways, I bought the ZV-E10 because it had the ability to change the lenses. A lot of vloggers and lifestyle content creators raved about this camera. I looked up a lot of videos and reviews on it. Um, it's a phenomenal, if you're just using it for vlogging, for, streaming, that kind of stuff, absolutely phenomenal camera. Could I use it to do professional photography shoots? Probably not. It is a cropped sensor, so you get less light in while you're on the go. It's a little bit slower than I'm used to for shooting. Um, yeah, so for professional photography, it's not phenomenal, and it does 4K properly, unlike the RP, which like crops your video when you do 4K, and it has like a really horrific rolling shutter in 4K. And
That's
yeah,
annoying.
it is annoying. It is really annoying, and and it has a time limit as well when you're shooting 4K on the RP, Canon RP. So I'm really excited to play around with this video camera. I do have a DJI Ronin gimbal as well, which it's a mini, so it's really good for mirrorless cameras. It works with my Canon RP, but I did notice the Canon RP did a really good job, but it was a little heavy for my gimbal. So I noticed there was a little bit more shake. This camera I just got is a bit smaller, and I would probably use it next time and use their 4K option on the ZV-E10.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It looks pretty compact and like mobile friendly, like on the go, slap it on a gimbal. It doesn't look too bulky.
No, it's so small, easy to throw in your purse. It's perfect for like using on a gimbal. I did see the stabilization isn't phenomenal with it. So even on a gimbal, you might notice a little bit of like it's not super, super stable. Um, that is something you can fix in post. I know I just upgraded my Canva to the Canva Pro because I'm a sucker.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they have amazing stabilization in Canva. It does crop your video though. So shoot wide, shoot in 4K, and then you can use the stabilization afterwards. The reason why I ended up getting this camera instead of saving and investing in a more expensive one was because I want to do more live streaming and podcasting. And this camera, you don't need a capture card in order to connect it to your computer. And that is
Oh,
true also for the A7 IV.
and why is that?
They have a setting in the camera that you can switch to that creates it webcam setting. So
Oh,
literally, I just have my iPad cord plugged into my computer and my camera right now, and that's all I need. So it's like
amazing.
phenomenal. Yeah. Yeah. Normally, you need to buy like an Elgato or
Right.
an off brand like
Capture
capture
card.
card. Those can go from like 40 to 180 up.
Yeah.
Um, and then that goes into your HDMI or it goes into a USB and then HDMI, and then the HDMI goes into your camera. So it's quite a bit more. And what I noticed, because the capture card I do have the Elgato capture card, but it's a USB, not USB-C. So I
Mm.
had to use another dongle in order to connect that to my computer,
Oh,
and it was cutting out on me. So it was really hard for me to use my Canon as a webcam. And I loved the idea of just plugging this in and being able to use it right away. I love how it looks, like so much.
yeah. Yeah, it looks really good. I mean, if this were the only use case, I mean, I think worth worth the money, but the fact that it's so kind of mobile and like designed for vlogging, it's like bang, two birds, one stone.
Yes.
I'm curious though, because I mean, we know that you have the Roadcaster, but if somebody didn't have like a large mixing board, how would they podcast with this style camera and like an XLR mic?
That's a really good question. It does have a microphone jack on this camera. So you can plug it into like an Zoom H4n or H1n even,
Yeah,
and get your audio through there, and then plug a external microphone into H4n would probably be the lowest you could go for that. So basically, oh, I think I have one actually. Let me grab it. So this is the Zoom H4n.
oh yeah,
Yeah, so this is a really handy on the go rig here, and you can get the connect the camera directly to this and then plug in up to two microphones
love
on
it.
that, and it also will record right into the machine as well. So that is an option if you wanted to do like an on the go shoot. The other option is to have a shotgun mic mounted on the camera,
Mm,
which it has the capability for that. I have a little Rode mic I could put on there, and then use this to record your audio and then just sync it up in post.
perf. Two great
Yeah.
options. I love those little um, Zoom kind of field recorders. They're like
Yeah.
the possibilities are endless.
I mean, it is nice to have everything synced up for you, but I like having two separate audio tracks because sometimes too I want to get a bit of the background noise. For instance, when I was doing my comedy set, my husband was filming with the camera, and then I had a lav mic, a Tascam lav mic on. And
Smart.
so I was getting my audio from that, and then we had audio from the camera, and so I could mix in like audience laughter and stuff like that that you couldn't hear very well from my microphone because we had that camera as well.
Perfect. Yeah, nothing worse than
Mhm.
like filming your comedy set with no laughter, right? Well, I think you know the whole TikTok thing, and you know really having the basis of your content not be so reliable on one platform or so
Mm,
dedicated to one platform. I think having that universal approach. I did see. I don't know if it was a TED talk, but your boy Gary V
yes.
talking about just the importance of not slapping the same video on every platform, but really, tailoring your content for reels versus YouTube shorts. And they each kind of have their own challenges, but benefits as well, and kind of tailoring your content for the platform. And I think we see that
Mm.
right now with the whole TikTok thing in the US.
Tell me about that because I'm Canadian and
Yes.
I just saw a couple of creators being like, make sure you're following me on Instagram. They're taking this away. And I've heard a couple of stories, but what's going on?
So it passed on the House floor. Our government is the House of Representatives and the Senate. So it still has to go to the Senate. But I did see a video of Joe Biden saying that he would sign the bill if it ends up getting to his desk to either force the sale of or ban TikTok within the United States. And they are basing it, or telling us, at least as the American public, that they're basing it on protecting our information from one of our foreign adversaries, which is
Mm,
China. I have a
mm,
hard time believing that they're doing it in our best interest. I think that there is a bit of nervousness, or a bit of, uh, you know, the US government being not in control of the way that we can share
yeah.
information so easily on TikTok. And, we've seen it recently with rallies or spreading of information that perhaps is, the US government doesn't want us to have. And TikTok has a
Mm.
way of creating communities and disseminating information so quickly. And I think that makes them nervous. So maybe a mixture of both. I don't know, with them saying that they would push for the sale of TikTok. And if it's not completely governed by, I don't know if they want to like share the ownership or whatever it may be, but it's looking like it's getting closer and closer to being, banned in the US.
Well, I know that's been a threat for quite a while, but I think this is the
Yeah,
furthest it's gone that I've been
correct.
aware of.
Yes.
But I also remember that cartoon back in the day that talked about how bills work and how they turn into
Yeah.
laws. And I know
Yeah.
there's quite a process.
Schoolhouse Rock.
That's the one.
I'm a bill and I go to Capitol Hill. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know there's like a bit of a process before that happens. And because TikTok is a place where a lot of people mobilize, I've heard there's some things in the works in order to try and make that not happen. I
Right.
mean, I definitely think though it is worth not relying on social media 100% to build their business, and really, especially as a digital entrepreneur, your email list is one of the best tools you have, because that actually allows you to own your clients' or information and potential clients' information, your audience information. So building an email list is really the safest bet. But even that, Yahoo and Google are starting to tighten up on like spam and
Hmm.
what emails will actually be making it into your client's inbox. So even that's going to be changing. Um, at least having that information, like you can get in contact with people one on one. You might not be able to send out newsletters in the same capacity that we
Yeah.
used to be able to, but
Especially, yeah, if you're sending it from a platform like MailChimp, or one of these sort of auto generative drip campaigns or email campaigns, you might have a hard time landing in the
yeah,
inbox.
it is changing. So the way to kind of get around that is to really offer high value into someone's inbox. I used to have a mailing list and I'd call it we're going to be inbox besties. Like, and
Love
thank you
that.
for letting me into your space and
Yes.
allowing me to connect with you here, because it is like it is really personal. Like someone's allowing you into their inbox, right?
Truth.
So creating those connections, offering a ton of value so that somebody really wants to hear from you and will go to that extra length to make sure that you're not blocked as spam in their inbox, and develop those personal relationships is going to be more valuable than ever. I feel like ClickFunnel type advertising is there's gonna be a lot more restrictions for that coming up in the near future. And people are just kind of sick of it, you know? We want to actually know the people we're working with and um, giving our money to.
I think we're kind of on the evolution of a new way of conducting our business, generating clients, generating leads, and
Hmm.
I think it's a good thing. It does have that more personalized feel to it, that more sort of tailor made relationship building. There's nothing worse than my favorite thing is when you get like a newsletter or like a email campaign from somebody and the platform didn't like generate your first name correctly. So it's like, hey, to from colon parentheses, or it has like, my last name as my first name. There's like no
Yeah.
quicker way to turn me off or lose my interest. So, it might not be a bad thing.
I think it's not going to be a bad thing. And I think one of the reasons this is happening is because of the evolution of AI and how prevalent that is in business now, and how easy it is to create a newsletter and send out a ton of content quickly now because of AI. It's just easier than ever to send out like anything
Junk.
and sound like you know what you're doing and scam people and so I really think this is going to be a good move. I think it's going to make it harder for people who really rely on that kind of marketing. But the cool thing about business and marketing is like it's always evolving, and pivoting is such a big part of business no matter what industry you're in. um it's I think we've had a bit of a boom for a while now. And so
True.
it's going to burst, but we're going to come out with new, really creative ways. And I think it's going to be better for business in the long run, and a lot more happy consumers.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it reminds me just of like, we think of the evolution of marketing. I mean, even in our lifetime, it's like the junk mail of the past
Yeah.
where it's like flyers and coupon packs and, spamming people's literal mailboxes.
Yeah.
And it's like history just repeats itself. Everything is cyclical. We learn, we evolve, we adapt and come up with new ways of doing things. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm excited.
I want to just circle back to the platforms, like diversifying your platforms. So social media, one of the downfalls to it is it's a huge investment of time and energy to
So
create a
true.
following and to nurture that following on social media. And really, if you want to convert people into customers, you do have to nurture your following. You just going viral is not going to be enough. The conversion rate for social media is really terrible, in terms of people making a purchase, and it takes a very long time to put the amount of effort you need to create those connections to then get a purchase through social media.
Right.
So it is a phenomenal platform, or well, depending on which platform you're on, to start creating community. Um, and I love how you talked about creating different content for each platform. I agree with that. However, I have been repurposing 2-year-old TikTok content onto Facebook, and that is going ridiculously viral. I feel like Facebook is TikTok from 2 years ago.
Yeah. What is happening? It's like we're in the twilight zone. Like
Yes.
Facebook is now like emerging as the platform for creators.
Yeah, and I feel like TikTok's really trying to become the new YouTube, so they're pushing a lot of really educational content and, podcasters, stuff like that that's going to keep people listening for longer periods of time because they want to start selling ads. But I feel like that's pushing people towards Facebook, because when it's going Facebook, I'm seeing like weird sludge content, which is like, colors dripping into each other while someone's telling a story. and like and that stuff that really just like is addictive to watch,
Cutting
right?
sand or like
Yes.
bubble. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and like little clips from celebrities and the stuff that we used to see, dances and like funny videos, stuff we used to see on that went really well on TikTok a few years ago, even 2020, is now performing really well on Facebook. So I think there's a cool opportunity there. And there's not a ton of creators focusing on Facebook. I think that's about to change because of the ban stuff happening with
Yeah.
TikTok
Yeah.
and with the monetization options that are now available on Facebook. I feel like a lot more creators are going to be migrating, which is good, but then you're going to have more competition. So now is a really good time if you want to start building a platform on Facebook. It's a really, really good time to start before everybody migrates back and then they stop
Right.
monetizing because they have enough creators.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's no incentive to create content on the
Yeah.
platform. Yeah, I think, and you've said it on a previous episode too. It's like social media, at least from my perspective, is more of like a digital business card. It is a snapshot into the services that I provide. It's a snapshot into my personality and the way that I conduct business and work with clients. I'm not necessarily posting a video on, great audio quality to go viral and generate followers on that platform. It's more of like highlighting, if you were interested in working together, this is sort of how it would be. And I think that's genius. When you said that, it's kind of like your footprint. So when people inevitably look you up on a platform, because that's, I think, just part of the routine these days, they see kind of a snapshot of your business and what you can offer.
Yeah, that's a big tech dump.
Tech talk coming at ya. Brooke, I apologize. I have to pee so bad.
Oh, go for it.
Thanks so much for hanging out today. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube for all of our video content at Unplugged Tech Pod.
And join us in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/unplugged podcast. Also, make sure to throw us a 5-star review if you are finding this content valuable for you and your digital business. We accept all forms of reviews, Apple Podcasts, Spotify follows, YouTube, telling your grandmother about us.
And make sure to share the episode with one person in your life who may find it valuable. And we'll see you next time on Unplugged.
I think it's good enough, and we're just going to keep getting better.